for your introductory remarks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, honorable members of the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee. Well, thank you very much for this surprise. I'm really honored by this what do you call it, plate, and thank you. It's been a true surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be back at the European Parliament and to appear before your committee. I'm happy that you've chosen the Euro project and its achievements over the past 20 years as the topic for our discussion today. I will start on the substance with further ado, discussing in turn the internal and external dimensions of the Euro area. I will then argue that building on what we have already achieved, our duty today is to continue to make progress in ensuring that all of the Euro's benefits are realized in full. The Euro was introduced to deepen the single market and safeguard its integrity. It continued the European project of reducing cross-border barriers through common endeavors and common policies. It followed the spirit that was already imbued in the Schuman Declaration in 1950, building Europe through concrete achievements. As a result, our economies are now integrated to a point that was unimaginable not so long ago. The euro was designed to be a trusted and stable currency. And the euro has indeed provided 2 decades of price stability, thereby upholding people's confidence in the value of their savings. Stable prices also facilitated firm investments and the creation of new jobs. Today, there are more than 20 million more Europeans in employment than 20 years ago in the 19 countries that currently make up the euro area. And since the creation of the euro, the labor force participation rate has risen from 59% to 67%, its highest level ever. The 2 decades in which the euro has existed have been exceptional. The first decade was the culmination of a 30-year period of macroeconomic stability, also known as the Great Moderation. Inflation averaged close to 2%, and the ECB ensured price stability mainly by adjusting its interest rates. The second decade produced the worst economic and financial crisis since the Great Depression. As I had the opportunity to discuss at length in my remarks at the Parliament plenary debate 2 weeks ago, as a response to the crisis, we had to deploy new instruments to safeguard the effectiveness of our monetary policy and stabilize the euro area economy. Thanks to the collective efforts of all European citizens, the euro area has emerged from the crisis. The results of their and their representatives' determination have been tangible. 22 consecutive quarters of economic growth, the unemployment rate at its lowest level since October 2008, and wages and incomes on the rise. However, over the past few months, incoming information has continued to be weaker than expected on account of softer external demand and some country and sector-specific factors. The persistence of uncertainties, in particular relating to geopolitical factors and the threat of protectionism, are weighing on economic sentiment. At the same time, supportive financing conditions, favorable labor market dynamics, and rising wage growth continue to underpin the euro area expansion and gradually rising inflation pressures. This supports our confidence in the continued sustained convergence of inflation to levels that are below but close to 2% over the medium term. Significant monetary policy stimulus remains essential to support the further build-up of domestic price pressures and headline inflation developments over the medium term. This will be provided by our forward guidance on the key ECB interest rates, reinforced by the reinvestments of the sizable stock of acquired assets. In any event, the Governing Council stands ready to adjust all of its instruments as appropriate to ensure that inflation continues to move towards the Governing Council's inflation aim in a sustained manner. The benefits of the euro area, the benefits of the euro have not been limited to the European internal dimension. Standing together within the Economic and Monetary Union allowed us to retain sovereignty that would otherwise be lost by individual countries in a highly integrated world economy. As already envisaged at the time of its creation, the euro symbolizes the unity of a European continent that is better able to exert global influence. Our togetherness in the Economic and Monetary Union gives us a greater say in international negotiation and enhances our capacity to influence economic relations. These are the words by Jacques Delors in his now famous Delors report. Over the past 20 years, the euro has become the second most important currency in the international monetary system. Somewhere between 20 and 40% of global foreign reserves, foreign exchange transactions, international debt, and international trade transactions are denominated in euro. And over 50 countries or territories use or link their currency to the euro. This global standing brings benefits. For one, it lowers the transaction cost of trading internationally, making euro area firms more competitive. It also adds breadth and liquidity to the euro area financial markets, allowing domestic and international investors to allocate economic resources more efficiently. And it lowers the cost of global capital market financing for euro area borrowers, including corporations, financial institutions, and public entities, thus benefiting firms, households, and taxpayers. Of course, the international role of the euro also brings challenges, such as greater exposure to global foreign financial developments and potential changes to the monetary policy transmission process. The international benefits of sharing a currency go beyond the monetary sphere. In a world with deep economic and financial interlinkages, international cooperation is essential, and we can more effectively promote European ideas and interests by speaking together. Indeed, the euro area's voice has been crucial in strengthening the international financial regulatory framework after the global financial crisis. Today, the single supervisory mechanism is the largest banking supervisor globally and successfully contributes to shaping the international supervisory framework. Since the global financial and euro area debt crisis, however, the euro's international role seems to have gradually eroded. While its importance as the currency of invoice for international trade transactions has remained broadly stable, its role in global foreign reserves and global debt markets has declined. This decline is a symptom of the fault lines in the Economic and Monetary Union exposed by the crisis. Concerns about the resilience of the economic and monetary union architecture and about the financial fragmentation underpinned this erosion. Indeed, stability, financial depth, and liquidity are among the key determinants of an international currency. European policymakers are now paying closer attention, and various calls have been made in recent months for the euro to assume a stronger international role. The Euro Summit of December 2018 encouraged work to be taken forward to this end. The international role of the euro is supported by the pursuit of sound economic policies in the euro area and a deeper and more complete economic and monetary union. And this requires further efforts along the path of deeper integration. The past 20 years have revealed beyond doubt how challenging ensuring economic prosperity and stability could be. This was true both inside and outside the euro area. Nonetheless, these years have also demonstrated that such a shared challenge is best faced collectively. To realize in full the benefits of the euro, we need to have the same components that made the euro a reality in 1999. On the one hand, we need national reforms to promote sustainable economic convergence. Under any monetary system, higher growth potential can only be achieved through continuous reform efforts. As the convergence process is primarily driven by structural factors, this is a key responsibility of member states. On the other hand, Europe can make a difference by supporting and facilitating such reform efforts. Our togetherness represents a unique competitive advantage, and we should capitalize on it. First, we can build on the synergies between the economic and monetary union and the single market. The single market is indeed one of the most powerful tools we have to unlock the mechanisms that will raise productivity. In particular, a genuine capital market union would not only ease and diversify access to funds for households and firms, thus fostering investment and innovation. It would also enable risk diversification and thus compensate for temporary drops in activity locally, the so-called private risk sharing, thereby reinforcing the overall resilience of the economic and monetary union. Second, it is essential to complete the projects that we initiated during the crisis, namely the banking union. Together with the capital market union, a complete banking union would deliver meaningful private risk sharing that's currently lacking in the euro area if we compare it with the United States. But private risk sharing, to be effective, needs to be supported by other policies. We should thus rekindle trust in our economic and fiscal framework by making it more effective in ensuring sound policy making at national level. These actions can also be further supported at the European level by the recent decision to launch an instrument for convergence and competitiveness for the euro area. To tackle future cyclical crises, the two layers of protection against shocks, the diversification of risk through the private financial system on the one hand, and public counter-cyclical support through fiscal instruments at the national and European levels on the other, need to interact in a complete and efficient manner. Achieving these reforms is not idealistic, nor utopian if we work together. And at the Euro Summit in December, leaders renewed their political commitment to strengthen the economic and monetary union. If we want to realize in full the benefits of the euro, we need to capitalize on this commitment and translate it into concrete policy actions. Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee, I've used the word together several times today. As this is the last time that we will be together in this legislative term, let me add a few words to you personally. I would like to thank you all for the role that this committee has played over the past years. My first hearing here, I remember saying that was my first exercise in democratic accountability with the European Parliament, and how grateful I was for it. Many more of these hearings would follow, and you effectively ensured that the ECB would be accountable and therefore could be legitimately independent in carrying out its monetary policy. But I'm also grateful for the support that this committee always expressed for the actions of the ECB, a sincere support because it built on the voice of the European citizens, and an important support that helped the ECB through the many difficult times of the past years. As co-legislators, your role was also essential in delivering crucial reforms that further strengthened our union. This committee and the European Parliament more generally has been, in my experience, an attentive interpreter of the demands of European citizens. It is only by doing so that the trust in the legitimacy of the European Union's institutions and policies is built, making it possible to achieve a more effective and inclusive union. As I've argued elsewhere, citizens demand and Parliament may help in achieving a more perfect union. A union that will continue providing its citizens with physical and economic security, while also promoting the values of an open, democratic, and peaceful society. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm now at your disposal for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very